Also, Dr. Lori, I talk to a lot of men, interact with them. And I know from in my interaction that a lot of men are really interested in giving real pleasure and happiness in sex to their partners. In fact, many men watch porn to see a woman achieving orgasm and pleasure. But when it comes to real sex, men tend to get tuned out from the real sex and move back to porn again. Why is that happening?
So interesting. And this whole question of, is porn useful? Is it harmful? Does it cause erectile dysfunction? Does it, damage teenagers has been a question that's been studied quite a bit. I mean, one of the challenges with porn is that it sets up false expectations about what sex looks like. So, let's say in a heterosexual actor couple, she responds with orgasm with vaginal penetration, and that's not the reality for 80% of females. Absolutely. Is that they don't reach orgasm. Absolutely. Through vaginal penetration. So if a male is relying on porn as kind of a source of information and maybe even an instructional how-to video, exactly. They watch porn and then they try and replicate what they see in their real life scenario, they're going to be pretty disappointed because, people have to put kids to bed. They have to turn their phone. That's the reality of life. And you don't see any of that in pornography. So that's happening in terms of setting up this kind of false belief, this false narrative of what sex looks like. But also many, many men will kind of get stuck in their head, this head, not the other one, but this head up on between their ears, and really fixated on worrying and catastrophizing. Am I pleasing her? Is this working? Is she responding? What am I doing wrong? Is she cheating on me? All these kinds of beliefs can bombard a male, and males can be very, very prone to that kind of getting stuck in your head. It's also one of the reasons why I've been so interested in the role of mindfulness meditation as a skill that we can practice to keep us in the here and now and fend against that tendency to jump into the future of the next step.
True. And it takes a lot of work to stay in the moment, right? Mindfulness is not something which is easy.
Correct. It's simple, but not easy. Yeah. Simple in that all we're doing is breathing in the here and now and compassionately and with acceptance, acknowledging those sensations. That's all we're doing. We're just paying attention compassionately. And that's really hard. I think it's really hard in general, and it can be really hard in sex too.
Would you recommend any mindfulness intervention to make sexual satisfaction better?
Well, my book, for one, my 2 books, and I often say to people, adopt a mindfulness practice, like a general mindfulness practice. And I'm sure your audience is quite familiar with mindfulness. And there are many, community centers that you can go to. There's apps that you can download. There's even on YouTube, there's mindfulness guides that people can listen to totally for free. And so I often say adopt a regular daily mindfulness practice as a way of practicing present moment, non-judgmental awareness. And then once you have those skills, you can start to integrate them into your sex life. My 2 books, so Better Sex Through Mindfulness, I describe the science that has evaluated mindfulness for sex. And then in the second book is the workbook. It guides people through, which exercises to do and how and where to use them.
Does yoga fall into that category?
Yeah, I mean, so mindfulness is definitely a component of yoga because while we practice yoga, the instructor will guide a person through, feel the intensity of the sensations as you're holding a certain pose and connect the mind and the body. You can say that yoga is a kind of movement mindfulness, right? Because you're combining movement of the body with present moment, non-judgmental awareness. So definitely yoga can be an excellent way of practicing mindfulness.
Staying on the topic of sex, doctor, in men, arousal is pretty straightforward. They get an erection and you can visibly demonstrate erection. But is there a possible reliable indicator of arousal in women similar to an erection in a man?
Yes, ask her. You ask her.
Okay.
Are you aroused?
Yeah.
That is the measure. So, I mean, there have been many attempts over decades now to find the objective measure of sexual arousal in women. And in my own research laboratory, we also have a vaginal photoplethysmograph, which is a small tampon-shaped device that females insert into the vagina, and it tells you the amount of blood flow. And it's not a perfect measure of arousal. It correlates minimally with how aroused she says she is. Similarly, lubrication is also not a valid marker of arousal because women may lubricate as a reflex or spontaneously. And there's some writing suggesting that it's a way of the body protecting itself against injury and insult. Yeah. There's also been other research looking at laser Doppler imaging. So looking at kind of heat in the area, again, as an indirect measure. And none of these map on perfectly to what she says, how she's feeling. So you want to know if she's aroused, ask her.
So this arousal non-concordance is more in women than men. That is...
It's higher. Yeah, the amount of non-concordance is higher in women than it is in men. And again, that's research that has been done for many, many, many years in different research centers around the world, and they all quite consistently show the same thing.